sis, this is the AnYPony, and welcome to another new installment on my channel, because episode reviews, fiction reviews, a podcast, the Ask videos, the My Thoughts On series, and eventually dramatic readings are not enough. The top 5, yay and nay. And my very first topic for this show is, even though I already made a 25-minute collab review with the voice of reason about it, and went over it in an overlonged episode of the Crepuscular Bronies Discuss, and every reviewer talked about it in at least one video, Magical Mystery Cure. Avoiding the obligatory beating a dead horse pun and getting right to the point why I chose this topic anyways. I came to the conclusion that I am missing a focused and authentic representation of my opinion on this episode. So let's have a look at the top 5 aspects I enjoyed the most, as well as the top 5 aspects that could have become game breakers for my enjoyment. Number 5, Neigh. This one is probably a very subjective issue, and people already told me that they are actually completely fine with it and think it is appropriate, so it only got the bottom spot on my Neigh list. The Princess Twilight song. This musical number just oozes of holiness and pretentiousness. Ugh, I really can't stand this kind of music. Number 5, yay. I already mentioned it in my review and I stand by it. The visuals are pretty awesome in this episode. But as I mentioned as well, by now this is pretty much the standard for all season openers and finals. So only number 5 spot. Number 4, Neigh. Every pony except maybe Digibrony agrees that the pacing of this episode was a rushed mess. And no Digi, if people who were overstrained during the first watch are able to grasp the plot after rewatching it, it does not disprove the criticism of the fast pacing. On the contrary. But that's not the point. As a consequence of the overly fast pacing, this episode is relying a lot on symbolism and exaggeration. Like how bad everybody's mood gets just because Pinky isn't around anymore cheering them up, the cutie mark shaped spark in Twilight's eyes, or how Sweet Apple Ankles decays in a matter of a few scenes and re-blossom equally fast. But the latter example kind of falls apart. While the symbolic extreme decay and the undefinable pace time passes during this development works fine as a narrative tool without raising too many questions, the sudden appearance of the rest of the Apple family during the resurrection of the farm turned out to be a big immersion breaker for a lot of viewers, including me. Yes, I get this is still part of the symbolism, but that's not my point. I criticize that while you are able to follow the development so far without getting thrown off, you suddenly find yourself asking, wait, where have Applebroom and Granny Smith been while Pinky ruined the farm, and why didn't they stop her? If Big Mac is still around, how could the farm fall apart so much in the first place? The rushed pacing is creating so much problem narrative-wise. And that is such a waste, because number 4, yay! I really love the idea of the identity swap and its consequences for every pony involved, what pretty much includes all of Ponyville. You could explore this so much and explain how it actually works. Nice topic for an upcoming Ask video, by the way. Also, you could go into each of the main 6's personal fate and could develop a few stories around how they struggle with their situation. And instead of a universal Deus Ex Machina solution, Twilight could have to actually figure out how to help each of her friends in an individual manner. Basically, what I am saying, the Cutie Mark swap idea had the potential for not only its own episode, like I stated in my review, but its very own season. Well, talking about missed opportunities and seasons. Number 3, Neigh. The lack of connection to season 3 as a whole. The season started out with this infamous teaser at the very end of the Crystal Empire, creating the feel that we are going to build up to something big. And episodes like Keep Calm and Flutter On seem to confirm this expectation. But in the end, it was all one big hoax. The one glimpse of the book at the beginning of the season was the only, I don't even want to call it that, build up towards the finale we got. Even if the season 4 opening will be a direct follow-up and Discord will play a major part in it, the actual season and its final episode are still missing any connection. And don't you guys dare to bring up, but Twilight was shown studying on the next level throughout season 3. Horse apples. She had been shown studying since the very first scene of the whole series, and all the studying throughout season 3 contributed nothing to her ascent to Oliconhood. On the contrary, her knowledge on friendship and not her newest insights on magic got the job done. Now I put my hopes into season 4, because Magical Mystery Cure provided us with something that has at least the potential of turning out awesome. Number 3, yay! Change! You got some change! Come on, help a pony out, will ya? Sorry, couldn't resist. But yes, with turning Twilight into an alicorn, the status quo has been altered. Big time. There's no denying this, and I really hope Hasbro is not planning on going back on it either. Not only would this kind of retcon be stupid as hell from a narrative point of view, it would also take away the change and all the potential that comes with it. So far, MLP was very episodic and all the episodes were pretty much interchangeable. Putting a pair of wings and a fancy title on the main character and pretty much concluding her previous character art kind of breaks this format. Sure, it could turn out that future season will just continue the strictly episodic format as some kind of G4.5, but maybe the overall format gets modified a bit as well and we get to see season-spanning story arc. This would be awesome! But even within an episodic format, we can still expect a lot of new stories thanks to the changed status quo. I am really looking forward to season 4 for this alone. Number 2, Neigh. Despite me poking fun at Celestia by calling her an evil empress all the time, I actually do like her character a lot. But in opposition to Anthony C, I do like her for not being an infallible, omnipotent goddess. The Pantheon theory sits a lot better with me, because as Anthony pointed out, having an all-powerful being in a story without rendering all the progress and achievements the mortal accomplish worthless, it requires brilliant writing. And as latter appearances of Q in Star Trek often enough turn out horrible, the risk exists that Celestia's omnipotence backfires as well. And unlike Q, she is always there and not just dropping in every now and then. But as Candlelight Wedding became a punch in the face for Anthony and his vision of Celestia, so did Magical Mystery Cure for me and my vision. As beautiful as the Purgatory scene and Celestia's song are, I cannot simply overlook the horrible implications this scene presents. While Celestia sings how she observed each and every step Twilight did, the floating surveillance footage pretty much suggests that Celestia is meaning this literally. If she should be able to enter this realm at will and use all those floating monitors to observe all past and probably present events in all of Equestria, she would be more or less all-knowing and have such a game-breaking god power I dislike so much. Okay, I can impromptu come up with multiple explanations for this scene keeping my vision of Celestia intact, but the implication is still there and it is bothering me to Tartarus. Now again for something delightful. Number 2, yay! The atmosphere. Even though the overly fast pacing once again gets in the way and makes it difficult for the viewers to enjoy the individual atmospheric scenes, since they tend to last very short before the plot hurries on, the particular scenes themselves are done pretty nicely and do work. But now about something that does not work, and I missed to talk about it in length in my actual review. Something completely unnecessary that only lasts seconds but manages to destroy potential worth subplots, jokes, character interactions as well as developments for half a season. What am I talking about if not Vinyl's stupid looking hair? Number 1, Neigh. Twilight flying. This very last scene was the most disappointing moment for me in the entire episode, and it was so unnecessary. After the final singing tune, the camera just could have zoomed into a close-up on Twilight's face so she could say her pretentious little line once more and everything would actually have been fine. But instead of entertaining flying lessons with Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy, maybe Twilight dealing with abatophobia and letting her slowly discover all the great new aspects of her rings, we get this one stupid shot of Twilight crashing into the camera. I am usually against retconning. Having to rewrite past events shows not only a lack of thinking ahead in the beginning, but it is a very poor narrative trick to allow you to tell the story you want to tell, but without putting the effort into keeping everything cohesive. But in this particular case, I beg the writers to retcon Twilight's flying ability. I am willing to accept every no matter how contrived explanation as long as we get to see all the cool ideas you can get out of the fact that an already established character suddenly gets the ability to fly. And I am well aware that there's a certain scene in a certain Hot Topic video that might be actual season 4 spoiler footage, giving me hope in this particular regard. But since I still hate spoilers, I'm just going to wait for season 4, and I would be thankful if none of you tries to feed me the newest info as soon as they come out. Thanks in advance and good faith. And no, there's only one entry left. My personal top yay of Magical Mystery Cure, a rather infamous element of this episode that divided the fandom into two factions, those who hate it and those who love it. I most certainly count myself to the latter. I present my number 1 yay! The songs. Except for a certain musical number I already covered in this list, I love all the songs as well as the fact that there are so many. I can totally understand people saying that there are too many songs, but for me personally this is a total yay throughout the episode. Now, in case you are wondering about my thoughts on a certain other infamous fandom dividing element of this episode, number 1, Alicon Twilight. I don't mind. Was it necessary? No. Does it break the show? No as well, at least not so far. We cannot tell until we see what the producers do with it in future seasons. And I'm also not able to relate to all the enthusiasm and excitement. She's an Alicon now. Wow. What does it mean? We don't know yet. She's also a princess now. Hooray! Can we tell what exactly this means? No. Only that there's change. That, as I already mentioned, I do welcome. But to create change you did not need Alicon, let alone Princess Twilight. There are literally an infinite number of possible ways to introduce change. Alicon Twilight itself so far is neutral in my eyes. I guess I will come back to you about this issue when season 4 arrives. This is AnYPony saying see you soon.